engineering, but here to talk to you today about my other dorky side, which involves scientific diving. Now, many of you might be asking, what in the world is scientific diving? And hopefully this next picture that comes up will give you a little bit of a clue. So there's that nerdy, dorky person there in a scuba suit, myself, along with two of my buddies. We're scuba diving, but we have all this weird gear with us, a data sheet and transect tape. So it looks kind of sciencey and really cool. Here's the official definition of what scientific diving is. It's diving performed solely as a necessary part of a scientific research or educational activity by employees whose sole purpose for diving is to perform scientific research tasks. So, scientific divers are people who receive specific training to do science underwater. They observe cool things like this spiny lobster, they gather data, they conduct research, and they advance science, which I think is super duper awesome. A brief history: in 1954, the first scientific diving program was formed at Scripps Institute of Oceanography, and in 1983, the American Academy of Underwater Sciences was formed, which is a big umbrella U.S. organization that incorporates all scientific divers. To be a scientific diver, you'll first need your scuba certification, you need a full swimming evaluation, and you need 100 hours of theoretical and practical study, as well as 12 supervised training dives. So it is a bit of work to get your certification. Then once you have your certification, in order to maintain your certification, you need to have at least 12 dives per year, hold current certification in CPR, first aid, and oxygen administration, and have a current diving medical examination. So it takes a little bit to keep it up. The scientific diver population has about 4,000 individuals in the U.S., 75% of which are male. The majority are long-term career scientific divers, and there's a high turnover of student scientific divers from various programs around the country. So that kind of gives you the grand scheme of things of what it is. Now I'd like to share with you specific scientific diving projects that I personally have worked on, and that's me there swimming in the kelp forests. The first one I worked on was at UC Santa Barbara. I got involved in the scientific diving program there, and the first program was to remove invasive species around the Santa Barbara Harbor. So there was all this kelp called Undaria, which is the kelp used in miso soup, came over on Japanese ships and sort of populated the harbor. So the harbor wanted to hire some scientific divers to go around and identify and remove the seaweed kelp for miso soup. The next project I worked on was doing habitat restoration. So in some areas of California, lobsters have been overfished. And so since the lobsters have been overfished, the urchins have taken over and eaten all the kelp, which gets rid of all the nice, beautiful ecosystem. And so in order to restore the habitat of our local underwater world, scientific divers have been deployed to replant the kelp of the California coast. So there you see a scientific diver putting kelp back on the ocean floor. So the following project I worked on was in the coral reefs. I got to go to Tahiti, a similar habitat restoration, restoring coral reefs on the ocean floor, which were destroyed due to natural or human-related disasters. Another project I worked on was doing larval dispersal studies, where we deployed these SMRFs, is what they called them, standard monitoring units for recruitment of fishes. And these SMRFs were used to catch these small little fish, and you take them back to the scientific lab and you dissect their inner ear, and this thing called an otolith can tell you where the fish has come by studying the trace metals or chemicals from the ocean that it's been in. So kind of a neat project. I've spent most of my time, however, in an organization called Reef Check California. That's me in the center there, along with all my volunteers. We're a group of hundreds of volunteers along the coast of California that conduct scientific surveys counting 73 species of kelp, invertebrates, and fish in the undersea world. So here you can see some of my divers out in the field. They are trained in scientific diving protocols and are able to help me out. And with all this data, we put it on our nearshore ecosystem database called NED, ned.reefcheck.org. And you can see how the populations and diversity of species along the whole coast of California have changed since we started collecting data until today. So, if that excited you about scientific diving, I encourage you to find out more about it. Google it, and you'll get to see some really cool things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bridget, for telling us all about science. scientific diving. So next up.